Have you ever wondered what causes people to hate? Or what parts of the brain does hate activate? You might know someone who hates Mondays or cats or Brussels sprouts. Maybe even some people hate you. If we're honest, we all hate something or someone. But have you ever asked yourself why? Why do we hate? And what is hate anyway? Is it just like anger or sadness or fear? The answers may surprise you. What is hate? When you hear this word, what comes to mind? You probably think of violence, war, racism, or crime. However, hate can be defined as a strong feeling of dislike. For example, disliking a food, a band, or a team. It can also be a little more complex and go deeper than skin deep. At times, hate can be powerful enough to drive someone to kill. So, how does it work? In order to understand the psychology of hate, we need to first look at the brain regions that control our emotions. Now, no single part of the brain is in charge of controlling hate. Instead, it involves a number of different areas. Researchers use brain imaging technology like fMRI to discover which regions are active when people are shown images or names of people they hate. They found that there are 6 key regions involved in processing the emotion of hate. Let's take a quick tour of these regions and learn what they do. Our first stop is the inferior frontal lobe. This region of the brain helps us process other people's emotions and actions, and then respond accordingly. For example, if you see someone's face contort in disgust, this part of the brain will help you recognize that they do not like something, so you can ask what's wrong or try to help. The inferior frontal lobe is like a social mirror for our brain. It reflects on others' emotions and behavior and helps us relate to them. This area is also important in helping us make decisions about how we should act in social situations. Next, we'll travel back in time to the amygdala. This almond-shaped area of the brain is like an alarm system. It helps us detect threats and then triggers our fight or flight response. The amygdala is very sensitive to facial expressions and will sound the alarm if it detects a threat, even if it's unconscious. For example, if someone sneers at you, your amygdala will alert you to a potential danger. This part of the brain also activates when we remember painful memories or experience strong emotions like fear and anger. Traveling along the same pathway, we come to the hippocampus. This seahorse-shaped area of the brain plays a role in memory and learning. It helps us remember facts and information, but it also stores emotional memories. These are memories that are connected to strong emotions like fear, excitement, or sadness. The hippocampus is like a librarian that organizes our memories and makes sure we can access them when we need them. But sometimes the memories we have of certain people are less than pleasant. That brings us to our next stop, the insula. This part of the brain is responsible for processing negative emotions like pain, disgust, and rejection. When you see something gross, like a pile of garbage on the ground, the insula will help you feel disgusted so you won't touch it. It also activates when we experience rejection or exclusion, which can lead to negative emotions like sadness or anger. As we continue our journey through the brain regions involved in hate, we come to the prefrontal cortex. This part of the brain helps us process social information, like understanding other people's perspectives. It's like the CEO of our brain, making sure everything runs smoothly and we can interact with others effectively. However, this area can also become active when we're making decisions based on emotions or biases, which can lead to negative outcomes. Finally, we arrive at the anterior cingulate cortex. This part of the brain is like a secretary that helps us regulate our emotions and control our impulses. It receives information from other parts of the brain and then decides how we should respond. This area helps us keep our emotions in check and ensures we behave appropriately in social situations. All these areas work together to produce the emotion of hate. In fact, they also work together to produce many other emotions too. So, how do we tell them apart? Well, it's all about balance. When one area becomes overactive, we feel a specific emotion. For example, when the amygdala is overactive, we might feel more threatened by other people. On the other hand, if the anterior cingulate cortex is underactive, we might find it harder to control our emotions and impulses, which could lead to lashing out in anger. So why do people hate? There are many reasons why people hate. Sometimes it can be because of their upbringing or environment. maybe they were raised in a hateful household and learned to hate from their parents or peers. Other times, people hate because of their personal experiences. Maybe they were bullied or discriminated against because of their race, religion, or sexual orientation, which caused them to develop a hatred towards others. In some cases, people hate because of their cognitive biases. This means they tend to interpret information in a certain way, even if it's not true. For example, someone who believes all members of the Middle East are terrorists would believe this even if it was untrue. This bias would make them more likely to hate people from the Middle East. But what parts of the brain does hate activate when we hate someone or something? It causes our amygdala and hippocampus to go into overdrive. This means we're more likely to perceive threats and remember negative information about the person or thing we hate. At the same time, the insula will become more active, making us more sensitive to rejection and exclusion. This can lead to feelings of disgust and anger. Meanwhile, the prefrontal cortex will struggle to process social information, making it difficult to see things from the other person's perspective. And finally, the anterior cingulate cortex will become underactive, making it harder to control our emotions and impulses. This can result in lashing out in anger or committing impulsive acts of violence. Hate can motivate us to do horrible things. Sometimes it can be powerful enough to cause us to commit crimes like murder, but why would anyone want to kill someone? In most cases, it's because they hate them. People can hate other people for a variety of reasons. It could be because of prejudice, ignorance, fear, or anger. Sometimes people hate without even knowing the person. For example, racism is a form of hatred towards a person based on their race or ethnicity. It's not based on facts or logic, but rather on stereotypes and prejudices. Similarly, people can hate each other because of their religion or sexual orientation. This type of hatred is often fueled by ignorance and fear of what is different. Sometimes people hate each other because they're jealous of their success or popularity. In this case, the envy can turn into resentment and eventually hatred. Whatever the reason, hatred can be a powerful motivator that can drive people to do unspeakable things. So, what's the solution? How do we stop people from hating? Sadly, there's no easy answer to this question. Hatred is a complex emotion that's deeply ingrained in human nature. It's often the result of cognitive biases and emotional dysregulation, which are difficult to change. Furthermore, hatred can be reinforced by negative media portrayals and societal norms. This makes it even harder to break the cycle of hatred. However, we must try to combat hatred in all its forms. It's important to teach children about empathy and compassion from an early age. We also need to challenge negative stereotypes and prejudices whenever we see them. Finally, we must strive to create a more inclusive and accepting society that values diversity and respect. By working together, we can create a world where hatred has no place. Have you ever experienced hate? What was it? Do you still hate that person or thing? Let us know in the comments section down below. If you enjoyed this video, don't forget to click the like button and share it with a friend. Subscribe to the channel and hit the notification bell icon for more content like this. As always, thanks for watching.